when I ask the question is like, are my kids going to be prepared going to this high school or through grade school? Is this school going to enable them to be prepared for, even, say, if it's Christian university or college or secular colleges, are they going to be ready? So there's two parts of that question really. Is obviously the academics, so the parents want to ensure that the money that they're spending, obviously, to put the kids through this system, that they're going to get a top-notch quality education. And that has always been true. We've found that true in this system. Maybe it's, especially in the high school with the smaller class sizes, for instance, that there's just a lot of opportunity for them to, again, to learn things in small group settings. There's a lot of one-on-one interaction with teachers. I find that's a huge value in the Christian school system.
When I look at the world around us and the workforce and the job placements and all that type of professional world, I'm realizing that it's a very fast-paced world, and a lot of the opportunities that our children are going to get down the road are, yes, number one, obviously going to be based on their education and their skill. But more than that, I think employers down the road are going to be looking more for qualities that I believe a Christian school will give our kids, such as integrity, honesty, value for other people, respect for authority. Those are qualities and characteristics that I believe our children will develop within a Christian environment, and will have a heads up on kids who haven't had the privilege of going to a Christian school for their education. And I think those are the qualities that are actually going to help my children be ahead of the game when they're competing for jobs or university placements down the road, as opposed to children who have just simply had the education but not necessarily the other component, which is the character building. So that's why I believe Christian education is going to put kids ahead of the game, because they're developing the whole child and not just the academic side of the child.
As a teacher, I think it's important for us to, to base what we teach in the lives of the students, and to involve as many things from their culture, our culture, as I can in whatever it is we're studying. So in some classes that's easier than others. For example, in media, what we study is our culture, right? So commercials and advertisements and movies and TV shows. And in English, it's a little bit more difficult, but not always. So I take some of the themes that we study in English and I try and find modern examples of them. And it's really actually pretty simple when you think about it. Today we were studying Beowulf, which is a 1,000-year-old poem in my grade 12 class, and I was talking about the Dark Knight, and I mentioned some of the themes are exactly the same in modern movies as they are in ancient literature, and the kids I think like that, and I encourage them to write about their own experience of their own culture relative to whatever we're studying. So if we're doing Hamlet, I encourage them to write about, instead of writing about the play itself, write about the ways in which some of the themes in the play impact their own lives, like procrastination and fear, things like that. So for me, it's all about that. If I couldn't do that, I wouldn't want to teach. I wouldn't want to teach kids.
As a teacher in a Christian school, I feel it's my responsibility to prepare the students to evaluate life through a Christian perspective, a Christian worldview. So it isn't just ignoring what's going on in the world, but how do we evaluate that? How do I make a judgment on that, if it's good or bad, or evaluate it? It needs to be all by a certain standard. So I'm hopefully teaching them to evaluate everything by God's standard, and putting His Word as what they test everything by, whether they're in church listening to a message or watching a movie or reading a book. It's all by that standard. So hopefully I'm preparing them to evaluate life and to attack life from a Christian perspective.
Even more so, just again, as an adult, as a parent, you realize that you want them to be emotionally ready. You want them to be ready to, they're basically leaving the house. And they need that reassurance from their peers and from their teachers, from their parents, that they're ready to make that next step in life. and above all, their character. You want their character to shine. You want them to be ready to really make an impact in this world. You don't want them just to leave high school just to take a program so that they can make the most money in such and such a job. That's the last thing I want my kids, for them to tell me is like, well, where am I going to make the most money? I want them to understand how has God gifted them, what are they passionate about, and hopefully they're learning that in high school, and that's being honed through too. What really are they passionate about? What would they like to do with their life? How would they like to impact the world, impact people that they come into contact with? I think that's even more important than the academics.
If I was talking to a grade 8 student, I'd probably let them know about the atmosphere between all the students at this school. I have friends not only in grade 12, but in 11, 10, and 9. At a school like this, it's small enough that you can become friends with anybody in the entire school, and that type of community is really great, I think.
Well, the social atmosphere at this high school is very different from other schools, I feel. Here, it's open and inviting, and you can just walk up to a group and talk to them, and you feel like you're included.